Hello and happy Sunday. Coming in here post solar eclipse to feel into our collective energies for the week ahead. How are you feeling? I know it has been and continues to be a very intense time, and intense in the sense that we are feeling things quite profoundly, quite significantly. No matter what you're feeling, you are getting a taste of this energy that's going to be unfolding in the coming, of course, through eclipse season, as we have these two eclipses we've been talking about this month. This was the first one, which is also the beginning of an eclipse cycle. So things that have been coming up for you in and around this new moon solar eclipse that has just taken place in the sign of Libra are all seeds that are coming forward for what is now planted and will be coming into fruition for you throughout that cycle, which will continue in the next year plus to come. So what we're going to do here is just kind of feel into, as we do each week, our energies coming in using a chosen deck. I am still working with this very fun Trick or Treat Tarot for this season, and it has been bringing through some very profound and significant messages and some pretty funny breadcrumbs too. If you're with me on the Marco Polo Empowerment Sharecast, you know that I shared some breadcrumbs that came forward from our cards last week, specifically this one, the 10 of Pentacles, featuring the Munsters. And so some of that stuff that you can't make up happened as the week unfolded, and I shared all of those breadcrumbs over there. So do check that out if you are interested in going deeper with the messages that have been coming up for us. If you are watching this on one of my social media places, this is the card pull that I do every week on Sundays over on my free Marco Polo Empowerment Sharecast, where we dive deeper into using the tarot, oracle cards, and a lot of other fun spiritual tools for our empowerment, guidance, insight, and wisdom into these energies that we are moving through. So we're going to get started here. We have a 5-card spread. I will pull out those cards, and we have a bonus oracle message this week. We're dipping into the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle deck by Stacey DeMarco, and I'm actually offering, along with your free personal card pull, I'm going to do 2 cards for you this week. So we're going to talk about these 5 cards for us collectively. Then if you would like a personal card pull on Marco Polo, just let me know. A couple of jumpers there, and I will be in touch with you there with your personal card pulls for the week ahead, featuring the Trick or Treat Tarot, the Halloween Tarot. We're going to use the Halloween Tarot. We're loving this itty bitty but mighty deck for your personal card pull, and we're going to use the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous for a special message for you. So let's take a look what's coming up for our 5 cards. Monday is setting the tone for our week ahead. So one card I see coming out here. King of Pentacles. We've seen the big bad wolf already this month coming in. This time, setting the tone for our week ahead. So we've got, again, those seeds that have been planted, feeling that Pentacles energy coming in. So we'll be diving into that, along with our Tuesday energy for a potential block or challenge this week. Tuesday. Page of Cups. Okay, so we've got some water energy coming in here, heart chakra feels, and some messenger energy coming in as a potential block or challenge this week. Wednesday, a midweek blessing. Doing an extreme close-up on the shuffle there. Wednesday, potential midweek blessing coming in. Ooh, Justice. How Libran. Wow. All right. That is awesome. I love that in the Wednesday position as a midweek blessing, the balancing of the scales of justice. Definitely will be feeling into that collectively. Wow. Look at that card. Seeing a little Lady Liberty there with the Monopoly Man. Interesting. Collective messages abounding. Thursday, how are we growing? How are we growing? Ooh, Awesome. So we start the week with the King of Pentacles, and we're growing with the new seeds of the Ace of Pentacles. So definitely have a story unfolding here. Friday, wrapping up our week with the Friday position. As always, these cards are just placeholders, intentions we set for our week. These energies interact all week long, so they're not beholden to each day, but I go into them one day at a time on the Sharecast, where we'll feel into the intuitive messages that are coming forward for us this week. Interesting. This card has already come out this week in the same position. I know for a fact the first week of October, we had so much peopling going on. This one was very interesting, very independent, very headstrong in wielding that sword. So this is wrapping up our week where we may feel into some of these energies that are coming in post-eclipse for us to move through as we expand into this powerful month. Wow. All right, let's cap it off with our Deep, Dark, and Dangerous card pull. I'm telling you guys, this deck is really, really neat. I'm excited to see, for everyone who would like a personal card pull, what comes up for you. This is going to be our little sampling of it through a collective message for us, putting a little punctuation mark on what's coming forward. Let's see what we got. One card for us collectively from the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle. What is coming forward? Lemure, loneliness. It's card 27 and it comes from dark. I love how this deck breaks out each of the categories. So we're going to dive in more deeply under the sheet, if you will, when we continue on over on the Sharecast. So again, if you're here on the Sharecast, stay tuned. I'll be coming in here for each day of the week, diving into our cards. If you're watching on social media, please check out the link either here in the caption or in my bio. It's free, it's fun. You can request your personal cards over there, and we will connect and go deeper. So thanks, guys. Wishing you an amazing week ahead. Hello, welcome to our week ahead. We are meeting here weekly to go through our collective spread that we do every week, feeling into our energies for the week ahead. And it's always fun to see how it plays out for each of us. I can say last week, I was a poster child for the eclipse new moon energies that I had been tapping into and outlining, and definitely, feeling every step of the way. Just so much coming up. And as we've been talking about Libra season, the scales and balancing out, recalibrating things in our life that are in need of balance, harmony. This is Libra, and specifically in our relationships. And so we've been talking a lot about how each of the different relationships in our life are showing up to reflect back to us things that are appearing for some type of action on our part. This can be just seeing, acknowledging aspects of ourself that are in need of healing, release, integration, expansion, different things coming up through the intense energies. And when I say that, I mean that it doesn't mean, and as we started out this month, we're not looking to eclipse energy in a fearful way of saying, oh no, what's going to happen? What's falling apart in my life? And we're actually working towards looking at it with a degree of anticipation and maybe even excitement, if we can, because we recognize that everything that is being revealed to us, the things that are falling away, the things that might be crumbling in our life as far as daily routines, ways of being, belief systems, relationships that can no longer stand. They're no longer supporting us, and we become aware of that in many and various ways. And it depends on the degree of resistance we have as well. So when we're in flow with these energies and things pop up and they feel tricky, as we're talking about the tricks and the treats this month, when they feel tricky, when they feel, like we're feeling confused or unclear about where to next, those are all indicators that we're getting, on stopping and taking a look. And so, just kind of summarizing things as to where we find ourselves here, I'm just sort of going back over some of the things that came forward in our empowerment pack for the new moon solar eclipse. We had some really powerful energies coming in and just really talking about being that this was a solar eclipse is something that happens during new moons. And so therefore it's amplifying a time for introspection, for rest, refocus, to reassess. And it really forces us, if not inviting us, we will be compelled to make room for fresh starts, new beginnings. It's a time of the month, new moons, to set intentions and begin the manifestation process with our desires. And being that the solar eclipse happens at a new moon, it's like an amplified new moon on steroids, if you will. And so being that this one was the first new moon of the fall, and it's occurring in Libra season, the sun is in Libra and the moon in Libra, this sign of balance, harmony, and justice. And wow, dead middle of our spread this week. This card couldn't be any more perfect. We're going to talk about it here for a moment, just the synchronicities coming up, and then we will dive in a little deeper when I get to Wednesday when we talk about our midweek blessing. But it's really about the sun and the moon brought in this really potent air energy that is associated with our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, and bringing in this thing that's asking us, like, who are you, right? Beneath, as we've been talking trick or treat, Halloween all season, the costume, beneath the masks, beneath the layers, who are you, right? And standing in that power, being honest with ourselves and being honest in our relationships. So that's what we're being invited to either assess how the scales are falling in that regard. Where are we falling on the scale when it comes to how clear, direct, truthful we are being with ourselves and within our relationships? Or are we finding ourselves, perhaps if it's out of balance, biting our tongue, avoiding confrontation, playing small? So these are all opportunities that are coming up to speak our truth, to listen to others' truth, and of course to let go of anything that doesn't adhere to what resonates with us, anything that is ready to fall off the scale. So, this is all energy that's been building and building and now came to that peak through this eclipse just yesterday as I record this. And now as we ride out the ripples of that energy, which will continue on beyond a year from now, the seeds that have just been planted. So like I was saying in the card pull, like really focusing on what that is for you. And so each week as we go through these cards, each month with the empowerment pack, when I meet with those folks, and everyone is invited to join me in November, very powerful ending to this year will be the rest of this month, November and December, kicking off into 2024. When we meet and we tap into these energies, we're using this as a tool to help guide us, to lay out a template of insight, wisdom that we can work with as we go from an empowered place. So a lot coming up with our relationships of all kinds. So we'll continue to delve into that when we get into these Monday through Friday cards. First, before we do that, I'm going to talk about our deep, dark, and dangerous oracle message, which also is feeling quite appropriate. We'll dive into that. But let me throw up here a little beautiful graphic that kind of sets the tone for this energy that I'm talking about and that we see reflecting back to us in our cards. So here, this graphic showing us this Libra new moon solar eclipse energy, the scales, right? This balancing. And we see the moon, the sun, the energies of the divine feminine and masculine, yin and yang, of light and shadow, all of these energies coming up, and we're feeling into where things are falling on these scales, right? And how it is feeling within us. And we talk about the dynamics of relationships with ourselves, with others, with things, with beliefs. Ultimately, this is the way that we are able to learn about ourselves. And so this is really a beautiful process we're moving through, preparing us to move into Scorpio season, which is right around the corner, where we will really be embodying the energies of the hermit, of going within. And so right now it's been very social, it's been very interactive when it comes to us and others. And so, as we move through that energy, finding just the right balance between, again, expressing our most authentic selves, wanting our voice and our opinions and our feelings to be all heard, but yet how do we do that without passing judgment or hurting others? It's tricky, right? That word, tricks, treats, transformations, all energies we've been and continue to work through this month. So what we come to the table with is our highest and best self, stepping out into our most authentic truth, but doing so with compassion, embodying empathy, being honest, right? Putting ourselves out there. But Libra is the sign of justice. So the outcome is always going to be fair, and things will work out for the best in the end. And this is where we get into our midweek blessing this week, card 11, justice in the tarot. So really synchronistic messages there. So as we practice patience and mindfulness throughout this period, we bring in this beautiful affirmation. I will not compromise my integrity. I can be honest and loving at the same time. I trust the energy of the scales, and I know justice will prevail. So that's coming in to support us beyond this eclipse, building up to the next eclipse happening at the end of this month, continuing to work with striking that balance in the scales and trusting that everything that is surfacing at this time is all a part of helping us to restore balance. All right, let's dive into our cards. So first up, we have our oracle message supporting our week ahead tarot cards, and this is from the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. I will be pulling a card for you from this deck. If you would like a personal card pull this week, you can reply right here at the end of each polo. You see an opportunity to send me a quick reply, or you can send me a note or reach out to me in any of the ways that we typically connect to let me know you would like a card pull for the week ahead, and I'll be pulling two for you, one from this amazing deck. So Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. This one comes in under dark. And in this deck, breaking them into these three categories, it is bringing up these energies for deep are entities of either the deep sea, the deep unconscious, or deep environments. Dark, such as this one, are those subjects whose realm is the dark places or the night itself. And finally, dangerous is those entities that are indeed often out to get us. They are frightening and often deadly if we do not pay heed. So bringing in a little bit of the elements of the season here with Deep, Dark, and Dangerous, this comes forward as card 27, Dark, and it is LEMURES, speaking to loneliness as the key word here. So I'm going to give you the oracle's message, and I'll feel into some intuitive thoughts about it. I already see some buzzwords jumping out that are very consistent so far with what we've been talking about. It says, you can be solitary without feeling lonely. Your true power comes from the inside out. Are your fears real? You cannot let unnamed fears interrupt your own peace of mind. You should be aware of your ancestors and the bloodlines that have created you. So this is a card that speaks to the duality of being solitary, lonely, fearsome, and fearful. So we have these polarities or these ends of the scale, right, on either side. And it talks about how the ancient Romans had a name for spirits that were lonely and wandering, lemures. These were not benevolent spirits because of the disrespect shown to their corpses. Burial rites had not been arranged, and it was said that the living had forgotten them, or the manner of their deaths meant that they could not go in peace and were restless. The poet Ovid described them as potentially vengeful. There were complex, placating rites that every household knew to perform called the Lemuria that kept any lemures at bay and kept them satisfied and benevolent towards the family. We know that lemures were both fearsome and fearful. Many could be disturbed or easily scared away by a loud sound or by banging pots. They were often actually quite timid, but frightening, of course, to see. Like the unnamed and nebulous fears that our brains sometimes entertain, once challenged or placated, these ghosts were not so fearful anymore. The most malevolent lemures were those who were seeking revenge or asking for someone to atone for a crime committed against them. If justice could be done in these cases, the lonely lemures would be able to stop their wanderings and eventually seek the underworld. Interesting. Now, two fun little facts here. The plant companion with this card is fennel, and the crystal companion is tourmalinated quartz. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm actually getting Beetlejuice vibes. It's reminding me of, you know, the two main characters in Beetlejuice when they put the sheets on and they're trying to scare away the new homeowners because they don't want them in their house, right? And it's what this is saying, to be fearsome and fearful. You know, to the humans, the live humans that would see them, they were scared of them. But underneath the sheet, they too were very scared and unsure and uncertain of these characters who had moved into their beloved home. So there's this interesting balance in the middle, I'm feeling, of like things not being what they seem when it comes to those things and people and other who we might be fearful of, and recognizing how they may actually be fearful of us in some ways, and the fear of the unknown and the fear of what we don't understand. And is it highlighting for us an opportunity to go beneath the sheet, right? And to recognize that everyone is coming to the ghost party with their own fears, insecurities, and also their wounding, because this was giving us a deep history about the lemures and the nature of those spirits and the way that they were either, you know, treated post death or in their burial, or the very specific belief system and rites that they held at that time, and then sort of like this haunting that could happen on the other side of it. So there's just this energy of sort of writing, clearing these things in order to set free of our fears and to set others perhaps free of these fears that could be getting carried. So, you know, there's just an interesting series of little breadcrumbs coming in here that we can tap into and just see how this energy bolsters the messages that are coming in for us this week. So let's go ahead and get ready to dive into our Monday through Friday messages coming in for our week ahead. Okay, we are jumping in here starting with Monday, and it's like dark and dreary out, and I am like feeling like a little bit sleepy. So I'm coming in here with the readers on to dive into these energies. So we're starting with the Monday energy setting up for our week ahead, and we've got the King of Pentacles. Okay, this is a repeat of an energy we saw at the beginning of this month that is bringing in the energy of the Little Red Riding Hood and the big bad wolf, right? And all we see there is Little Red Riding Hood's cape. But it reminds us that the origins of the pentacles is associated with red, the root chakra, our base, and with earth energy. And in many cases, it is about safety, security, money, material. We see here that the wolf has this full picnic basket of goodies, showing that there's an abundance. And also he is very happy with his coin, right? The energy of pentacles. So typically this is representing either you, a person, or an aspect of personality or a situation or something that you're being invited to embody that has to do with all of the embodiment of the pentacles. So it is about feeling safe, secure, provided for, and then also sharing of abundance and being able to spread the wealth, if you will. So there could be an energy this week of connecting with others, or you being the one who is providing some type of resources or abundance for other people, or you're receiving. We have double offerings this week of pentacles. You see the wolf holding the pentacle. You see our pumpkin pentacle coming in here further down into the week. So there's an offering coming in. So this can have to do with the pentacles, with money, with abundance of some kind. Now, I consider that to be not just the money, but also energy as a commodity. So, you know, whether you're given, again, it feels very positive. So it doesn't feel like a withdrawal. It feels like maybe a deposit or some type of offering of some energy or abundance or something that's adding to in some way. So I am feeling, you know, like, you know, there's potentially you or someone in your orbit playing this role that is bringing in that energy. Now, being that we're doing a play here on the Big Bad Wolf, and just to feel into the Trick or Treat companion book here, authority, power, experience, creating wealth, values, beauty, generous, practical. Now that's all Pentacles energy, earth energy, and there's a lot of beauty and abundance in that. But also when it's challenged, it can be overindulgent. There can be heavy debts, material wealth, but emotional or spiritual poverty. Interesting. So that's interesting. You know, that gives me another little nod, because with all the peopling in the relationships, what this reminds me of is a refocus to what really matters, what's really important, right? I mentioned last week, we had a lot going on. There's a lot of big milestones happening. I have 2 teenagers in the house along with my 2 younger children. And there's a lot of big things happening this year for my teenagers, and they're getting older, and, you know, big things coming up on their plates, and there's a lot to celebrate and be excited about, but there's also, not to mention what it all costs. So there is that Pentacles reference about the price tag, but I'm talking about navigating, you know, all of the peopling that happens for teenagers when it comes to social groups and dynamics and mean girls and different things that can come up, this big bad wolf energy. And this happens for adults too. It happens for all of us in our dynamics with others. I'm being reminded of a refocus on what's truly important. And, you know, right here on the porch at the house, there's this coming back into this abundant picnic basket of resources and support and sharing, and really having this renewed focus on priorities too. So I'm just feeling, again, this can show up so differently for everyone, but I mean, you know, this is how I'm intuiting the messages, is by having that hit home for me in the recognizing using your resources to create abundance in your life no matter what, and also being aware of that big bad wolf energy that can be out there, and maybe even that sense of protection, or, you know, again, when we talk about the LEMURES card coming in about being fearsome versus fearful, and striking that balance in the middle as well. So just a couple of little extra things. Again, not for everybody, but if that's resonating for you, there's a sense too of coming into that awareness. But let's go ahead and see what's coming in here for Tuesday as a potential block or challenge. Okay, Tuesday is bringing in a potential block or challenge, and we have this adorable Page of Cups, bringing in the energy of the fish jumping from the cup. Cups are associated with the water element, so that is speaking to the heart chakra. It's about emotions and feels, and just like we had a king starting off Monday, here we have a page. This is part of the court cards in the tarot, the personalities, the aspects of self or others in our orbit, or embodying situations. And we have 2 pages this week, much like we did the first week of October. As I mentioned, this card came up in exactly the same spot. And then we had another page on this end, a different one. It wasn't this one. We had another page. So I'm again feeling pages are the youngest of the tarot. So they often represent young people, children even, or teenagers, or novices, new, young, immature in a way, or inexperienced energy. So this is certainly, if you have children in your life or young people around you, then it could be speaking to that energy, but also for yourself. You know, again, this is not our first rodeo, and yet we have just come through, stepped through a portal, stepped through a place where we are new to this, right? This is my first day post eclipse, from all of the stuff, the layers that have been getting sloughed off, all of the things that have been coming up to be seen. This is me stepping out now, deep in the feels, potentially finding my footing, right? So this could be yourself navigating this week, a potential block or challenge, others around you, etc. I want to share the message here from the Trick or Treat Companion because I think it does speak to some of these energies, and see who or what comes to your mind about this energy and how it could show up for you in a tricky kind of a way. So it says, how adorable is she? She'll probably be obsessed with her new goldfish friend all night. Her natural grace and some enchanted luck keep her from tripping over her costume. Fun fact, the Page of Cups is usually shown with a fish popping out of a chalice. Some say the fish represents a message that will be received. And yes, I feel messages twice here on this. This is an offering or something new coming in. We also see that energy here. And here, pages are the messengers. They bring in messages. And specifically with the cups and the fish, it is speaking to a message coming in. Now, this can be through our dreams. It can be through, it's a very imaginative, creative energy. There's also an element of the Page of Cups being like, you know, the dreamer of the tarot, and seeing possibility where there is none. You know, it's like that, as if pigs had wings energy of things happening from unusual and unexpected ways. There's some magic in there too. But let's see here. So it does represent that a message will be received. When this card comes up, it represents someone who is young, emotionally immature, or inexperienced in relationships. Lack of experience doesn't stop them, though. They will dive into the deep end of whatever pool strikes their fancy. The pools that are most likely to capture their attention are ones promising romance, connection, or inclusion in a group. They have soft, generous, loving hearts. On the downside, they can be overly sensitive, needy, or clingy. Be nice to them and you'll have a fast friend. Teach them about good boundaries and you'll have a friend that doesn't invade your life. So yeah, young, inexperienced, sensitive, romantic, sweet, emotional, and intuitive. It's a Pisces energy as well. But you know, when it's out of balance, if it's tricky, it could be oversensitive, needy, being in love with love, you know, having that head in the clouds type energy, overly emotional. We see it splashing out of the cup. Now, we don't have any other water energy here really. So, you know, no, we don't. So I don't necessarily know about that, but I feel like, I think there's so many people dynamics this month with all the costumes and the tricking and treating and all the things, that I think people around us or ourselves, and being new to something, novice energy, inexperienced, feeling maybe out of our depths in some ways, that can certainly feel tricky. But also, you know, maybe like really like having this big wish or dream, or what are these seeds that you've just planted in this new moon eclipse energy that feels so big that it's like, I don't even see how that could ever happen. Like, but I'm secretly like wishing that it would, or whatever, you know. First of all, expectation equals magnetization. So we believe that of course it is possible, and whatever is meant for me will not pass me by. No matter how big that pumpkin is, it is possible. And that is a benefit that we can tap into with the Page of Cups, of things that seem impossible actually becoming possible. So, you know, we'll keep an eye out for some of that slippery, tricky energy, but we can work with that by rooting in, I feel, especially with these two Pentacles cards on the altar this week, getting grounded and taking it one step at a time. So let's go ahead and talk about this midweek blessing. Okay, so we really talked this up. Wednesday, midweek blessing, Justice. Card 11, Major Arcana. It's the only Major Arcana on the altar. If you're familiar with the tarot, or as I have been teaching, major arcana are the significant stops along the fool's journey. When we get one of the 21 major arcana cards, it indicates in a reading something significant. And all the other cards, the minor arcana, color in the people, places, and things that make up that journey. So this is anchoring us in the middle of the week as a significant energy. And it does show a couple's costume. We're going to talk about what it says in the book, but it's Lady Liberty and Mr. Moneybags, I guess, the Monopoly guy. Interesting. And it must be said that when we are tapping into collective energy, that shines a little light on some big things in the macrocosm potentially, right? Especially because it's very specific in what it is depicting here as Mr. Moneybags and the Statue of Liberty. And, you know, just feeling into things that we are all aware are happening here in the collective at this time. Very much a part of all of the energies that we've been talking about for many months here, building up collectively, that we now see amplified out on the big stage. We see rippling out here from our small stages in the microcosm. So as we just sort of feel into the different ways this could show up this week, like I said, I don't think there's anywhere else I would rather it be on this spread than right here in the middle as a midweek blessing, because it brings us into the scales of justice and it's anchoring us in the center as a blessing. So let's think about that in the context of the macro and the micro and what that could mean, how that's showing up, and where that may be coming in as a blessing as we feel into what's happening here in the companion. Okay, Mr. Moneybags and the Statue of Liberty sure came up with a unique couple's costume. Her tablet is the date of the Declaration of Independence. Oh, yes, it is. Wow. I know it's backwards for you guys too, but it says July 4th, 1776 on there in Roman numerals. Okay. Awesome. Little detail there. I love clever touches on tarot decks. Okay. Has the date of the Declaration of Independence reminding us of the foundation of the American dream. All Americans are created equal. How wealth is distributed. How freedoms are granted. How equality is doled out, make up the complex ways justice is experienced in our nation, and of course, in other nations around the world in its own right. When this card comes up, be prepared for the long arm of the law to catch up with you. It might be human law, or it might be universal or spiritual law. You might be on the wrong side of it or the right side. We know how this works. You made your bed, now you can lie in it. You will reap what you sow. You play, you pay. Karma's a bitch. If you've already done the deed, you will get justice, for better or worse. If you haven't done the deed yet, this card warns you to consider the consequences before acting. Now, midweek blessing, justice, scales being balanced. So our focus, we have been invited to come into this place where we're understanding as above, so below, as within, so without. So when we look out and we see all of the injustice, all of the imbalance, all of the atrocities that we could be seeing outside, when we talk about what's my best step forward, how can I best affect change, healing, whatever we need in a moment, coming back within to ourself and getting grounded, rooting into love, rooting into truth, right? These are all key words that we already hear coming up this week in our spread. Rooting into love and truth, and going within, as within, so without. So if I'm focusing on what is out of balance in my life, what is feeling heavy in my life, what is lacking in my life, so that I'm feeling that. I feel the polarity of those poles, and that is what, and again, How I feel it and how that experience is for me also varies widely, right? It sounds so simple when we say it that way. Ooh, that's a little heavy. That feels lacking. But hey, when we're putting that into the context of very real things like money, abundance, safety, security, if that's lacking, you know, I'm going through a degree of different feelings and perhaps fears, anxieties, worries, you know, all the things that make up that experience. Or if I'm feeling something very heavily, loneliness, a key word that's coming in from our deep, dark, and dangerous card, or anything that is of a less pleasant nature, we're not meaning to gloss over that. We're saying, can I see those experiences and those sensations through a lens of awareness that goes, okay, I feel this, I see this. What is this coming up to tell me, to show me, to make clear what is out of balance in my life, right? And so as I focus on that, I restore a balance and I recalibrate, restoring justice to those things in my court, right? And with that ripple effect, so it begins there. So there's a blessing that's coming into that knowingness of, again, I could even just call this paying it forward out into the world, the ripple effect of kindness, the ripple effect of, you know, again, bringing this back in, this energy of that which is fearful or fearsome, and recognizing that maybe once we shed light on a thing, once we bring in the truth and justice to a thing, that we can suddenly see it not for the boogeyman that we may have believed it to be or feared it to be, but actually something much more in the middle, much more where we have a lot more in common, or things being very different than we initially believed them to be, and having great potential for bringing peace to it, restoring peace into something that is at this time quite frightful. Looking at the LEMURES. So there is that energy too. Keywords: justice, karma, cause and effect, equality, truth, integrity. This also highlights contracts, legal matters. So just bring it on down to the everyday practical. Is you could have been working on some type of a legal matter or contract. Typically, this does speak to a favorable outcome, but favorable to who, right? Typically, it means to you, the recipient of the messages, but I'm saying the message that we were getting here is one way or another, those scales will be balanced. I talked about that in the opening when we talked about the eclipse, when we talked about the idea that the outcome will always be fair and things will work out for the best in the end. So that we talked about that there. We talked about truth and justice with the lemure. We've got truth and justice coming in throughout. So there is a definite theme, an undercurrent here that I think is really anchoring into the center of our week as a blessing. So again, if that's not resonating for you specifically in the terms of legal issues or things, contracts or things being settled, or just right, wrong, imbalances in your life and relationships and dynamics, I'm not sure who that wouldn't resonate for, because I know we've all got them. But nonetheless, what can I do to open up to receive the blessings and by sending out the blessings? So I feel a little pay it forward, a little kindness, expression, energy, potential there as a way to amplify those blessings. Let's take a look at Thursday. Thursday, how are we growing? I am feeling better and better about this card by the moment. Not only was I right away feeling just the energy of this Ace of Pentacles coming in as an offering, as some type of resource or help or something to bolster, again, seeds that you're planting, things that you're looking to create in your life, opportunities are coming in for you. Again, we see this presentation of the pentacle coming in twice this week and bringing in this energy of this pumpkin pentacle being handed to us. How are we growing? Well, when we dip into the Trick or Treat Tarot Companion, it speaks to jack-o'-lanterns, which are magic in the same way that Christmas trees are magic. Something about them captures our fancy and delights our eyes. They are temporary celebrations of light in the darkness. They make us happy and warm our hearts. They give us hope because they seem to somehow hold promise. When this card comes up, it should make you happy and filled with hope because it is one of the luckiest cards in the deck. Just like a pumpkin filled with seeds, this card is filled with potential. Something is coming your way that may look small and insignificant, but don't be fooled. It will yield more than you can imagine. Right now, it is just a seed, not a magic bean, and you're not Jack. You'll need to plant it and help it grow. A little hard work never hurt anyone. Roll up your sleeves and make the most of this investment in your future. Yes, Thursday, thank you. How are we growing into the allowing of receiving these gifts, no matter how small, no matter how they're packaged, recognizing that there's a lot of potential within them. And again, this is just so on point to the idea that we've just potentially come through this new moon eclipse, planting seeds, setting intentions. If you haven't yet, you may do so now, setting some intentions for what it is that you wish to bring into your life, right? And so this brings in, again, the pentacles of abundance, of resources, money, wealth, health, comfort, luck, achieving goals. Now, when it is when it's out of balance, when it's challenged, there is a lack. There is a loss of resources, health concerns, bad investments. And so if you are coming through any of those things, if you are coming through, a bout of illness or problems in the pentacles of all kinds, right, of lack, this is a beautiful sign of abundance coming in for you now in the form of healing, in the form of some type of a resource that has been needed, help, an offering, kind of lighting a way. I love the way that it says it's a temporary light in the darkness. So it's coming in as a beautiful sign, an offering that we are growing into. I would even say recognizing those things when they can be difficult to spot. Okay, again, this energy that beneath the surface, beneath the big bad wolf energy and anything else that we have coming in here with these different archetypes of seeking out the gold, seeking out the goods, seeking out the treats through the tricky energy. I see something, I'm fearful. I see something, I'm skeptical. I see something, whatever it is, I'm seeking out the gold. What is the learning? What is the lesson, the blessing? What is coming up here in this, whatever it is, to bring in some nugget of truth, awareness, abundance for me? So that's what we have coming in for Thursday, how we are growing. We're going to wrap it all up with Friday. All right, wrapping it all up with Friday. And we have this repeat appearance of the Page of Swords. Now, it makes me laugh because it was another week where we had 2 pages and we had all court cards except one. So it really jumped out, again, as a significant energy. And this page, as the week went on, when I did people's personal card pulls and we bounced back into these cards and looked at what came up for them and how this might show up for you, this youth with the sword behind its head had this I do it myself energy, this headstrong, young, inexperienced child perhaps, but it had a couple of funny moments when that card came up last time because I was talking to my friend and we were referring back to the cards that came up this week and it was like, oh, it's us. It's us thinking that we know better, thinking that we know the way forward. And what this had to do with was okay, universe, let me make my wishes. Let me deposit my desires, what I want to manifest, the seeds I'm planting. And now let me tell you exactly how to deliver it to me. Okay, so that was this energy of I do it myself, really digging our heels into saying that, like, I know better. And this can be covert energy too. Like, we may not realize that we're sort of trying to control a situation and dictate the details. And what the universe is teaching us over and over again, with a degree of love and compassion and patience, and then sometimes a little, impatience, and then the message might get a little bolder, like a disgruntled, a parent who is frustrated and frazzled and like might lose it. The universe might give us a swift little toot in the direction of recognizing that we are actually not in control of all the details. And that is how it should be, because our job is to, again, be the dreamer, make the wishes, allow yourself to feel all of the potential for what you wish to have in your life, send it out, right? Send it out, and then allow the universe to respond with providing us this or something even better. So it reminded me of a little bit of headstrong, thinking that we know better sometimes, and getting frustrated with that. But, just in general, the way that this energy can show up, sort of wrapping up our week, and knowing that we have these two youthful energies here, they both speak to youth or inexperience or some type of that, novice beginner energy, but also the sword speaking to the air element, which is speaking. So it has to do with talking. It has to do with thinking. The swords are speaking to thoughts and word. So this can have to do with a person, someone in your orbit, or just something to embody. They can have to do with being very chatty. There's also a degree of gossip that can come here too. Hearsay, so being very discerning about what you buy into. Back to the center. What are you buying into? What are you investing in? What are you investing your time and energy into? How does that feel out of balance? And again, you can see the story here. These cards are all very, very similarly grouped, with, again, this anchoring in the center. And then we have people energy, we have pentacle energy, we have offerings coming in on both ends of this scale. And then we also have this beginner energy here. So, in what ways are we seeing on both sides the fearsome, the fearful, and we're bringing in truth, we're bringing in compassion, we're bringing in all of these aspects that we've been talking about, and recognizing that, yes, there can be a degree of that inexperience or being a know-it-all, but also, very clever, smart, being good with words, being able to articulate things clearly. So those are positive attributes in this case. But yeah, being aware that sometimes this personality archetype can show up as a know-it-all or a gossip. So, but there is a degree of cerebral acuteness. There's a degree of maybe being a great problem solver. So that can be helpful too, but there can be, again, having to rein in some of that raw talent, because it is immature. And again, I just think it's funny, because I know that archetype from being my children and knowing that stage where they're like, so let's set the scene. You're running late and your hands are full and you're trying to get everybody out the door. Right? And you might have a million things going on, and there is a toddler that is insisting on putting on their own shoes. Okay? I do it myself. And now you're going to stand there holding all your stuff. Car is running. Maybe the phone's ringing. Another kid is speaking. There's all these things going on. And there is this toddler that is so sure that they're going to put on their shoe themselves. You already see they're putting it on the wrong foot, or the laces are already double knotted and tied and they need help. So there's, this degree of patience that is called upon, and this ability to hold space for the fact that this little light wants to learn how to do something themselves, or is so sure that they know the way. And then when if you're familiar with that archetype, you can imagine that archetype, right, of this little inexperienced child who doesn't know what they're doing, who's putting the shoes on wrong, that ultimately is going to need you to help them. And if only they might have listened to you the first time, you guys would be halfway down the street right by now. And now realize that you're the toddler. That was the moment that I had when this card came up last time with my friend. It was like, oh damn, it's me, it's you, and you imagine, when you think about, your higher self or spirit, the endless pools of compassion and patience for us on this fool's journey, so sure that we know better, that this is an energy that's coming into focus here where, again, not my first rodeo, but I am stepping into the new in a whole new way than maybe I ever have before. I'm now stepping into it with this awareness of some of those tendencies, or the fact that, I have been going about it a particular way on repeat, and I'm noticing the fact that it's getting me maybe nowhere or causing a lot of frustration or spinning of wheels. Is there a better way? And then using your acumen, your ability to problem solve and look at things from different angles to recognize that maybe after all this, it does lie in being open to receive, planting the seed, setting the intention, holding the vibration, but then allowing the universe to respond. And that really being the key to manifesting in our life. And that's new. That's coming in new to us. We are new at that. So bigger messages coming in, but I'm feeling that as well as, again, like just continuing to unfold into this dialogue about what more is coming beyond this first eclipse that we've just come through. So we're here, we're going through it together. Overall, it feels quite balanced this week, and rather, a little bit of ease into some other energies that'll be stirring up as we move on into the month ahead. So all of that being said, if you would like a personal card pull for this week, let me know. Drop a note, reach out to me in the way that works for you, and I will be moving through, popping in on Marco Polo here. I will send you a personal polo where I will be pulling 2 cards for you this week if you would like one. I'm going to be pulling you a tarot message and the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle message as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you think anyone would enjoy these messages or appreciate this content, please feel free to share the link to my Sharecast to others. I appreciate you supporting me, and we will be seeing how this week unfolds. I will be back as we move through the week, and we will continue to go on this journey together. But I'm wishing you a beautiful week. All right, guys, take good care.